Dominican Republic. So, Professor John, over to you.
Mr. Mosen, thank you very much. Is my audio okay, everyone?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, we
very
can hear
good.
you clearly.
Very good. So thanks so much for giving us a little bit of time today to talk. I hope everyone is very safe and healthy. I know over in Pakistan, it's probably 9:30 or 10 at night. Here in the States, I'm in Chicago. It's early Saturday morning. And I noticed that there are a lot of people who are LinkedIn friends. So I want to welcome my LinkedIn friends who I call the Pride. Thanks a lot for coming online and hearing what we're going to talk about today. So that's where Mr. Mosen and I met, actually, is on LinkedIn. So
yes. That's how we met.
So my job today is I want to give you a 3 to 5 minute interview type approach to what we're about. And then I'm going to turn it over to Justin and Alejandro to talk more in depth about our paper. So my team here at the University of Chicago is essentially about combining behavioral economics with field experiments to make the world a better place. Now, our subjects range from individuals to firms to government agencies. Nothing's really off limits as long as we can use economics and field experiments to help answer the questions at hand. So, for example, the types of questions that we've been interested in the past have been things like, why do people engage in generous acts, and how can we get them to do more of these generous acts? In the field of human capital formation, we've worked on why do public schools continue to fail around the world. We've done a fair amount of work in Bangladesh, in Australia, in the UK, and in the United States to think harder about human capital skill formation and how we can augment that from birth until, of course, college or beyond in the life cycle. Questions like, why do people discriminate against one another, and what are the best ways to combat those discriminatory acts are issues, social issues that we've looked at. And of course, today it's about why don't people pay their taxes on time, and how can we nudge them to pay their taxes on time? And in essence, we're thinking about both new tax revenues and moving the tax payment up in time. So when you step back and ask yourself, what is unique about field experiments? I think what's unique is that it's a way to generate data in a manner that it forces a researcher to understand everyday phenomena, but also it's a very, very powerful approach to establish causality in the relationships between variables. Now, as scientists, we all know that going beyond correlation and establishing causality is exactly our chore. Why? Because then we can begin to understand what is it about a particular variable that causes another variable to change. That's called a mediator or a mechanism. And once we understand that mechanism, then we can start to talk about, does that solution provide insights elsewhere? Is this a general solution that we can not only use to, for example, get people to pay their taxes on time, but perhaps it extends to other walks of life that can make the government a more efficient beast, so to speak? And I think that's what we're always talking about. First of all, how can the government induce people or nudge people to do the right thing? But also we should look internally. I see in some of the private remarks and the public remarks about we should always look internally about how can we make the government a more efficient actor. in the world economy. And that's, of course, important as well. Now, what I want you to focus on today is, first of all, this will be a nudge that raises a lot of money, as Mr. Mosen mentioned. This is why we call it the $100 million nudge. We're very proud of that. We're very proud that we could work with a government, and you'll see that we've worked with the UK, we've worked with other governments as well, looking at nudges and taxation. But in all of these cases, what I want you to notice really two things. One, these guys are using simple nudges based on behavioral economic theory that can really move the needle. We're not just talking about pennies here, we're talking about millions and millions of dollars. That's important on the benefit side. But what's important on the cost side is these are very cost effective. And what do I mean by that? Notice throughout the presentation that the real cost here is the opportunity cost of time. So it's people who have had to spend time, and that's valuable. I've just written a paper on the value of time and what is the value that each person puts on their time. So we're not saying that's not valuable, but the important element here is we partner with organizations. We're not paid any money. Our payment is data so we can write scientific papers and help change the world. So we wrote the paper with the DR, and hopefully that grabbed Mr. Mosen's attention. And he said, maybe these folks can help the people in Pakistan. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly the type of reaction that my team wants. We want to use our insights and spread our knowledge around the world and help everyone. That's so what we're getting from this. Let me be very clear. What we're getting from this is to work with smart people and hopefully to generate new data. You'll see that we combined it with administrative data, so then we can say something about how our nudges affect entrepreneurs, how our nudges affect small and large firms. That ends up being important because access to the administrative data in the DR gave us the ability to answer those kinds of questions that hadn't been done before. And to us, it's extremely useful. So all in all, what you'll find is that the cost is minimal. And I used to work in the federal government. I worked in the White House from 2002 to 2003. And we were always interested in what's the benefit cost ratio. In this particular case, the benefit cost ratio is what I call something that approaches infinity. Why? Because, right, numerator is really high, denominator is really tiny. We know when we take limits of those types of things, what happens. So I'm not going to blather anymore. I just want to say thanks, everyone, for coming online. I'm going to turn this over to the brains of the operation, Alejandro and Justin, and they're going to give you a bunch of the details about what we've done. And I look forward to hearing your questions and comments and concerns, and I look forward to future partnerships.